The small girl's bare feet pounded against the forest floor as she ran through the darkness, tears streaming down her face. Her lungs burned with every desperate breath, but she couldn't stop. She had to find him. She had to find the Alpha. The moonlight barely penetrated the thick canopy above, casting eerie shadows that would terrify any other child. But little Emma was beyond fear now. All she could think about was her mother's screams echoing through their small cottage. Emma had heard the stories, the whispered warnings from the villagers about the creatures that lurked in the Blackwood forest. They spoke of a powerful werewolf pack that claimed these woods as their territory, led by an alpha so fierce that even the bravest hunters refused to venture deep into his domain. But Emma didn't care about the danger anymore. Her mother needed help, and the men who had broken into their home were going to kill her. The 7-year-old stumbled over a root, scraping her knees on the rough ground, but she pushed herself up immediately. Blood mixed with dirt on her small hands, but she kept running. She had seen him once before, the Alpha. It was 3 months ago when she had wandered too far from home while picking wildflowers. She had been terrified when she first saw the massive black wolf watching her from between the trees, its silver eyes gleaming with an intelligence that seemed almost human. But he hadn't hurt her. Instead, he had circled her once, his enormous form moving with surprising grace before disappearing back into the forest. Emma's mother had been furious when she finally made it home, warning her never to go near the woods again. But Emma had never forgotten those silver eyes, and somehow, deep in her frightened heart, she believed he would help her now. Her chest heaved as she finally reached a clearing she vaguely remembered. The moon hung full and bright overhead, illuminating the open space like a natural spotlight. Emma collapsed to her knees, her small body shaking with exhaustion and fear. Fresh tears poured down her dirty cheeks as she cried out into the night. "Please, please, if you're out there, I need your help." Her voice cracked with desperation. "They're hurting my mama. Please, the bad men came and they're hurting her." For a moment, there was only silence. The forest seemed to hold its breath, and Emma's heart sank. Maybe he wasn't here. Maybe he wouldn't come. Maybe her mother was already gone. The thought made her sob harder, her small shoulders shaking violently. Then she heard it, the soft padding of enormous paws against the earth. Emma's head snapped up, and there he was. The Alpha emerged from the tree line, even more magnificent and terrifying than she remembered. He stood at least 6 feet tall at the shoulder, his midnight black fur seeming to absorb the moonlight itself. Those silver eyes locked onto her, and Emma felt a strange mixture of fear and hope flood through her. The werewolf approached slowly, each step deliberate and careful. When he was just a few feet away, he lowered his massive head, bringing those intelligent eyes level with hers. Emma could see her own tear-stained reflection in their mercurial depths. Without thinking, Emma stumbled forward and threw her small arms around his thick neck, burying her face in his fur. "Please help my mama. The bad men came to our house. They were yelling about money that Papa owed them before he died. Mama told me to run out the back door, but I heard them hitting her. Please, she's all I have left." The Alpha remained perfectly still for a moment, and Emma could feel the powerful muscles beneath his fur. Then something remarkable happened. A low, grumbling growl emanated from deep in his chest, but it wasn't directed at her. It was a sound of pure, primal rage. The Alpha pulled back gently, and Emma released her hold on him. Their eyes met, and in that moment, she understood. He would help her. The werewolf turned and began moving back toward the forest edge, then paused to look back at Emma. The message was clear. Follow me. Despite her exhaustion, Emma pushed herself to her feet and ran after him. The werewolf set a quick but manageable pace, constantly glancing back to ensure the small girl could keep up. They moved through the forest like shadows, the werewolf's massive form somehow navigating the dense undergrowth with supernatural ease. As they neared the edge of the woods closest to Emma's cottage, the alpha suddenly stopped. He turned to face Emma, and she watched in amazement as his form began to shimmer and shift in the moonlight. Bones cracked and reformed, fur receded, and within moments, a man stood before her. He was tall and powerfully built, with jet black hair and those same striking silver eyes. Despite the transformation, Emma felt no fear. She knew this was the same being who had shown her kindness months ago. The man knelt down to Emma's level, his voice deep and controlled. "Stay here, little one. No matter what you hear, you stay hidden in these trees. Do you understand?" Emma nodded quickly, wiping at her tears. "Are you going to save my mama?" A grim smile crossed the alpha's face. "I'm going to make sure those men never hurt anyone again." "What's your mother's name?" "Sarah Mitchell." The alpha nodded, then placed a gentle hand on Emma's shoulder. "You're very brave, Emma Mitchell. Your mother should be proud. Now hide, and don't come out until I return for you." Before Emma could ask how he knew her name, the man was already moving toward her cottage with inhuman speed. She quickly ducked behind a large oak tree, peering around its trunk to watch. Even from this distance, she could hear the commotion coming from her home. Angry male voices, her mother's muffled cries, the sound of furniture being overturned. The alpha reached the front door and didn't bother knocking. With one powerful kick, he sent it flying off its hinges. The crash brought immediate silence from inside, followed by confused and angry shouting. Emma's heart pounded as she watched the doorway, praying she had made the right choice in seeking out the legendary werewolf. "Who the hell are you?" a gruff voice demanded from inside. The alpha's response was calm, but carried an edge that made Emma shiver even from her hiding spot. "I'm someone who doesn't appreciate men breaking into homes and hurting women, especially women under my protection." There was a moment of tense silence, then the sound of someone laughing mockingly. "Under your protection? Listen, friend, I don't know who you think you are, but you need to walk away. This ain't your business. This woman's dead husband owed our boss a lot of money, and we're here to collect one way or another." Emma heard her mother cry out, "Please, I told you I don't have it. Daniel gambled away everything before he died. There's nothing left." "Then I guess we'll have to take payments another way," another man's voice sneered, and Emma heard her mother sob. What happened next occurred so fast that Emma could barely process it. There was a roar that didn't sound quite human, followed by screams of terror and pain. She heard bodies hitting walls, glass shattering, and men begging for mercy. The sounds lasted less than a minute, and then there was silence once more. Emma wanted to run to her mother, but she remembered the alpha's command to stay hidden. She waited, her small hands gripping the rough bark of the oak tree, her entire body trembling. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a few minutes, the alpha emerged from the cottage. His clothes were torn, and there was blood on his hands, though Emma suspected none of it was his. He looked directly at her hiding spot and nodded once. Emma burst from behind the tree and ran toward him. The alpha caught her gently, preventing her from rushing into the cottage. "Your mother is inside. She's hurt, but she'll be okay. The men won't bother her anymore. They won't bother anyone anymore." Emma looked up at him with wide eyes. "What did you do to them?" The alpha's expression was unreadable. "What needed to be done? Now go to your mother. She's been very worried about you." Emma nodded and started toward the door. But then she paused and turned back. "Thank you. Thank you for saving her." The man's stern expression softened slightly. "You're welcome, brave little Emma. You ran through a dangerous forest alone at night to save your mother. That took more courage than most adults possess. Your father would have been proud, whatever his other failings." Emma felt fresh tears prick her eyes, but these were different from the terrified ones she had cried earlier. She quickly wiped them away and ran into the cottage. Her mother was sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall. Her lip was split and bleeding. There was a darkening bruise on her cheek, and she cradled her arm carefully. But she was alive. "Mama!" Emma crashed into her mother's arms, careful of her injuries. Sarah Mitchell held her daughter tightly with her good arm, tears streaming down her face. "Emma, my sweet girl, you shouldn't have run. You should have kept going to the village. It was so dangerous." "But he saved you, Mama. The Alpha saved you." Sarah looked up at the doorway where the Alpha stood, his imposing figure silhouetted against the moonlight. Despite her injuries and the chaos around them, she managed to speak. "Thank you. I don't understand why you helped us, but thank you." The Alpha stepped inside, carefully avoiding the destruction. Emma noticed he was deliberately standing so that her view was blocked from seeing whatever remained of the men who had attacked her mother. "The child came to me for help. She showed courage and desperation in equal measure. I couldn't ignore that. Besides, I don't tolerate this kind of thing in my territory." Sarah's eyes widened slightly. "Your territory? Then the stories are true. You're really—" "I'm exactly what the stories say I am," the Alpha confirmed. "My name is Marcus. Marcus Blackwood. My pack has protected these forests for generations. Your college sits on the very edge of our territory. Technically, that makes you my responsibility, though I didn't realize it until tonight." Emma looked between her mother and Marcus, not fully understanding the implications, but sensing the importance of the moment. Sarah slowly pushed herself to her feet with Emma's help, wincing at the pain in her ribs. "I don't know what to say," Sarah admitted, looking at the destruction around her cottage. "Those men, they worked for Vincent Russo. He's a dangerous man, practically runs the criminal element in 3 counties. When they don't report back, let me worry about Vincent Russo," Marcus interrupted, his voice carrying absolute certainty. "If he comes looking for his men, he'll find me, and I'll make it very clear that this territory and everyone in it is off limits to his kind of business." Sarah swallowed hard, then nodded. There was something in Marcus's eyes that told her arguing would be pointless. This was a man, or rather a creature, who was used to being obeyed. Emma tugged on her mother's dress. "Mama, Mr. Marcus turned from a big wolf into a person. I saw it." Despite everything, Sarah couldn't help but smile slightly at her daughter's wonder. "I'm sure you did, sweetheart." Marcus crouched down to Emma's level once more. "You did very well tonight, Emma. But what you saw, what happened here, needs to stay between us. The world isn't always kind to those who are different. Do you understand?" Emma nodded solemnly. "I won't tell anyone, I promise." "Good girl." Marcus stood and addressed Sarah again. "You should see a doctor about those injuries. I'll have someone come by tomorrow to help repair your door and clean up. And Sarah?" He waited until she met his eyes. "You and Emma are under my protection now. Anyone who threatens you will answer to me personally. You have my word." Before Sarah could respond, Marcus turned and walked out of the cottage. Emma ran to the broken doorway, watching as the tall man strode back toward the forest. At the tree line, he paused and looked back one final time. Even from this distance, Emma could see his silver eyes gleaming in the darkness. Then he was gone, disappearing into the shadows as if he had never been there at all. The next few weeks were strange for Emma and her mother. True to his word, Marcus sent people to repair their cottage. They arrived at dawn the next morning, skilled workers who asked no questions and completed the job with remarkable efficiency. The bodies of the men who had attacked them had vanished without a trace, and when the village constable came asking questions about Vincent Russo's missing enforcers, Sarah simply said she knew nothing about it. Emma went back to her normal routine of school and chores, but she often found herself looking toward the forest, wondering about the mysterious Alpha who had saved them. She never saw Marcus again during that time, but sometimes, especially on full moon nights, she would glimpse a massive black wolf watching their cottage from the tree line. She never felt afraid when she saw him. Instead, she felt safe, protected. One evening, about a month after that terrifying night, Emma and her mother were finishing dinner when there was a knock at their newly repaired door. Sarah tensed immediately, but Emma jumped up excitedly. Somehow, she knew who it would be. Sarah opened the door cautiously, then relaxed when she saw Marcus standing there. He was dressed simply but well, and he carried a small package wrapped in brown paper. "I hope I'm not intruding. I wanted to check on how you both were healing." "Please come in," Sarah said, stepping aside. "We were just finishing dinner. Have you eaten?" Marcus smiled slightly, a gesture that transformed his stern features. "I have, thank you, but I wouldn't say no to some of that tea I smell." As Sarah busied herself with preparing tea, Emma sat at the table across from Marcus, studying him with the open curiosity of a child. "Do you always look like a person, or do you always look like a wolf?" "Emma," Sarah scolded, but Marcus held up a hand. "It's all right. It's a fair question." He looked at Emma seriously, treating her question with the respect it deserved. "I can be either, but the wolf is just as much me as this form is. On full moons, the change is stronger, more instinctive, but I never lose control. That's what makes an alpha an alpha." "Are there more like you?" Emma asked, fascinated. "There are. I have a pack, a family of sorts. We live deep in the forest, away from humans most of the time. It's easier that way. People fear what they don't understand." Sarah set down 3 cups of tea and joined them at the table. "I never thanked you properly. What you did for us, I could never repay that." Marcus took a sip of his tea before responding. "I don't want repayment, but I did come here for a reason beyond checking on your recovery." He pushed the brown paper package across the table toward Sarah. "Open it." With trembling fingers, Sarah unwrapped the package. Inside was a substantial amount of money, more than she had seen in years. She gasped. "I can't accept this. It's too much." "It's exactly enough," Marcus countered. "It's what your husband owed, plus interest, plus compensation for what you endured. Consider Vincent Russo's debt paid in full. He won't be bothering you again. Ever." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "How did you—" "I had a conversation with Mr. Russo. A very clear, very direct conversation. He's decided to retire from his business ventures and move somewhere far away. Very far away. He was quite eager to ensure all his outstanding debts were settled before he left." Emma watched the exchange with wide eyes. She didn't fully understand everything being discussed, but she understood that Marcus had somehow fixed the problem that had haunted her mother since her father's death. The constant worry about money, the fear of more men coming to collect, all of it was gone now. Sarah wiped her eyes and looked at Marcus with an expression Emma had never seen before. It was gratitude mixed with something else, something deeper. "Why are you doing this for us? We're nothing to you. We're not even pack." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his silver eyes thoughtful. "When Emma came running through my forest that night, terrified and desperate, something in me responded. She didn't see a monster. She saw someone who could help, and she trusted that I would. That kind of faith is rare, especially from humans. It reminded me that we don't protect these woods just to keep others out. We protect them so that those who need sanctuary can find it. He set down his teacup and stood up. You're not Pack, not in the traditional sense, but you're under my protection, which in many ways is the same thing. This cottage stands on the boundary between two worlds. Consider it a safe harbor for both. Emma jumped up from her chair and before anyone could stop her, wrapped her arms around Marcus in a tight hug. The alpha stiffened for just a moment, clearly unused to such displays of affection, then carefully placed a hand on her head. Thank you for saving my mama. You're my hero. When Emma finally let go and stepped back, she could have sworn she saw moisture in Marcus's eyes. Though it was gone so quickly, she might have imagined it. He cleared his throat and nodded to Sarah. Take care of each other. If you ever need anything, truly need anything, come to the forest and call for me. I'll hear you. As Marcus moved toward the door, Sarah called out to him, Marcus, will we see you again? He paused in the doorway, the moonlight casting his shadow long across their floor. Perhaps. The boundary between our worlds isn't as solid as it once was. Who knows what the future holds? With that cryptic statement, he stepped out into the night and was gone. Emma ran to the window and pressed her face against the glass. She watched as Marcus's form shimmered and shifted in the moonlight, transforming back into the magnificent black wolf she had first encountered months ago. The alpha looked back at their cottage one final time, his silver eyes meeting Emma's through the window. Then he turned and loped into the forest, disappearing among the trees. Sarah came up behind her daughter and placed both hands on her shoulders. What an extraordinary night! What an extraordinary creature! He's not a creature, Mama, Emma said softly, still watching the forest. He's a person, just a different kind of person. Sarah smiled and kissed the top of her daughter's head. You're right, sweetheart. You're absolutely right. Years would pass and Emma would grow from a frightened little girl into a strong young woman. She would never forget the night she ran through the dark forest to find the alpha, or the kindness he showed when he had every reason to turn her away. Sometimes, on quiet nights when the moon was full, she would still see the black wolf watching from the tree line, and each time she would smile and wave, and the wolf would dip his massive head in acknowledgement before disappearing back into the shadows. The boundary between worlds had been crossed that night, and nothing would ever be quite the same again. But Emma wouldn't have wanted it any other way. She had learned that courage comes in many forms, that family isn't always defined by blood, and that sometimes the most fearsome creatures are the ones with the biggest hearts. Now, if you found this story as moving as we hoped, we'd absolutely love for you to subscribe to our channel. Your subscription means everything to us and helps us continue bringing you these emotional and captivating stories. Hit that subscribe button below and you'll never miss another incredible tale. We have so many more amazing stories to share with you, and your support makes all the difference. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next story.